right, folks, we're going to hop in here just a little early. I don't think 2 minutes is going to really affect too awful much. I see some very honorable individuals in the chat today already. We have Bongonzo's in the chat, and I have officially pinned one of his comments up at the top if you'd like to ask his audience a question. Looks like he has retracted that. Never mind. X.E.L.O is in the house. John Kasanga's in the house. We got Mark George. Glad you're here, Mark. We're actually going to be working on your song today. The Ghost Dance. Janelle Sony. Hoping they're still in the chat. Anyway, we are going to be mixing a song live today, and I have not touched this song at all. So this is going to be completely shooting from the hip, off the cuff. So you're going to get to see the whole process of me struggling. No. Working on this mix. But first and foremost, let's go over what this channel is all about. This channel exists to simplify the complexities of the home studio and to help you make professional sounding music in a less than professional space. The motto around here is that we can dream alone, we can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. So good to have each and every one of you. Bongonzo says, give me a random word. Jimmy Eliason, hey, how's it going, buddy? I probably butchered your last name. Apologize for that. Bongonzo, the random word is, let's see. Tubes. T-U-B-E-S. Tubes. I've been thinking about tubes all day. I was just working with a tube amplifier. He says it was good enough. Let's give a big shout out to our chart toppers. These are individuals who have helped the channel in some way, shape, or form by keeping this channel alive. They are either Patreon members, as you can see denoted by the small icon on the right-hand side of their name, or they have donated through the Super Chat feature, which is available here in YouTube. And that amount that they have given is on the left-hand side. Bongonzo, your random word was tubes. T-U-B-E-S. All right. So thank you each and every one of you who have donated in some way, shape, or form to keep the channel alive. Greatly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Could not do this without you. I want to go ahead and give a big shout out to also a company called iSet. It's a company that just recently reached out to me, and if you watched one of the recent videos that I just did, I did a review on their guitar pedals, and the thing that I loved about it was the fact that they reached out to me and did not ask for 5-star review in Amazon or go and like our page or share this or do this or jump through these hoops basically to get our products for free. They simply sent the products for free and said, would you please give these an honest review? So kudos to you, iSet Music. You guys rock. And I have to say, I really did like the guitar pedals. There are a couple of them that I think could probably use a little bit of work. And I think there's a few more features that could be added to some of them. But for the most part, they were really excellent. And so I wanted to give a big shout out to them too, because it's not every day that you get a company that reaches out and says, hey, I want you to review a product just for free, just for an honest review. That's all we're looking for. A lot of companies don't do that nowadays. They want to be, Tim Reynolds, hey, good to see you on your lunch break, buddy. A lot of companies want you to review their products, but at the cost of doing something huge in return for them, or, you know, jumping through all kinds of hoops. So if you're in the market for some good, affordable, and cheap, but not cheap sounding guitar pedals, which you don't just have to use them on guitar. I'm going to do a video here shortly on that, how you can actually use guitar pedals for mixing. You can use guitar pedals for synthesizers. You can use them for keyboards. Pretty much anything that you would pass audio through, you can use you can use that. So Mark George says, don't forget to like the song, everyone. Oh, I mean the video. Both. Like the song and the video. Hopefully you'll like the song. I know I liked it. That's why it was chosen as the, I believe it was the October. Yes, it was the October winner for the HSS Song Contest. So let's go ahead and check the song out now, and we'll get just a quick run through of it so you guys can actually hear what we have to work with. The song in and of itself, how it was mixed and arranged, it already sounds really good. All I'm going to do is basically just add some sheen, some polish, and really kind of take it up to that next level. So let's go ahead and take a listen to it together here first so you can kind of get a feel for the song, and then we'll come back and we'll start tackling this thing. I'll turn this up a little bit. Okay, so there's just a real brief sort of synopsis of what we have to work with. You have not yet begun to hear the width and the breadth of this mix. I mean, it's got some stuff in it that just, there's a break in here. Well, we'll get to it. And the reason why I'm stopping it now instead of just listening to the whole thing is because I'm sure we're going to listen to this thing over and over and over here in just a minute. But to answer some of the questions in the chat, thank you guys so much, by the way, for asking. I am doing a lot better now. I don't feel anymore like I've been hit by a Mack truck. I was tested and came back negative for COVID, thankfully. So it was just something I was battling, whether it be viral or, I don't think it was the flu. I got my flu shot. So, but then shortly after that, I developed this incredible pain right here in my abdomen. It felt as if my liver or gallbladder or something was about to burst, and it just went away. So the doctor seems to think that that was some sort of an esophageal spasm, or anyway. I feel a lot better though. Thank you so much for asking, and I'm glad you think I look better. I don't know how that happened. I haven't done anything. I comb my hair, so you know. Yes, the composer is in the chat. Herky Acuff. Hey, what's up from Canada? The composer for this was Mark George. So he commented just above where you commented. Yes, I did lose some weight. The hard way. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go and open up the console view on this because I want to get a view on the faders. I want to see where these faders are set, and I also want to see, because this is a bun file, when you upload a bun file into Cakewalk, it's going to upload everything exactly how they had it when they sent it to you. So this explains a lot about why the volume was so low. As you can see on the master fader here, it's turned way, way down. Mark says he misses the jammies. Yeah, that last video I posted, I was not feeling good, so I just went ahead and threw up a video update real quick, letting everybody know that I would not be having a live video in my pajamas. So there we go. Turn that master fader up. That made a difference. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is, and it looks like Mark has already kind of done some of the legwork for me here. Apparently, he's been listening to some of my advice here on the podcast or the YouTube channel, whatever you want to call it. It's both now. I've combined combined them. So yeah, we've got, you'll notice on every single track here, we have a high pass filter, which is cool. I will always slap a high pass filter on every single track just to start with. Takes out the mud, and then I can adjust that to taste. So he's already done some legwork here. That's very cool. Let's see where it's at on the kick. It's at 36. Okay. If you're new to Cakewalk or you haven't used Cakewalk before, there's a really cool feature you can use here where you highlight one track and then you hold Control and press the A button, and it's going to select all of those tracks. Now I'm going to hold the Control button and use the quick grouping feature and just simply expand every single one of these so that I can see them all from a bird's eye view here. Okay, so it looks like most of them are going up to 40. Perfect. Good deal. It's a little bit less that I've got to do. That's normally where I would start with at a high pass filter anyway, so kudos to you, Mark. Good job on that. The first thing that I'm going to do, though, is I actually have a 15-step mixing process, which is included in the link of this video. And basically, I try to follow that same guideline every single time that I mix, and it helps you to not only develop just good habits, but it also helps you to get through a mix quicker. So I'm actually going to be using that 15-step mixing process. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up now. If you haven't liked the video already, make sure to go ahead and give this video a like so that YouTube's algorithms pick up on the fact that whatever we're doing over here is making a difference in the world. Not to mention, it's just common courtesy, you know? So I'm going to go ahead and find the 15-step mix process, and I think it's in my Google Drive here. You would figure as much as I've used it by now, I would already have this memorized, but I don't have that good of a memory. Oh yeah, that's right. Let me see here. That's weird. Oh, you know what? It's included in my Cakewalk by BandLab, the Ultimate Cakewalk by BandLab tutorial course. So I'll just look for it in there. Shameless plug. There it is, 15-step mix system. All right. Now this, in case you haven't seen it, this is what we're going to be going off of. These are 15 steps that I follow every single time I do a mix. Sometimes I'll cut out a few steps or I'll combine a few steps, but for the most part, I have this to guide my process so that I always just simply, you know, have a definite direction instead of just kind of willy-nilly doing everything. So the first thing that I would do is import all the tracks into my DAW of choice, name every track that doesn't fit into a pre-named slot within a template that I might use, make sure that they're color coordinated. All of this has already been done. Very cool. And then I'll bottom out all the faders, switch the master bus into mono. So that'll be the next step. Awesome. Tim says he's been using these steps. That's cool. Good deal. Glad to see that it's being useful to others other than just myself. So now, with all of these selected, as we can still see down here, because, and that's denoted in the fact that they are yellow down here. I'm going to go ahead and collapse all these again. And then I'm going to hold the control button and double tap the fader. That should bring everything up to speed. Except for that one. Okay. Now I'm going to hold the control button again, And just, I can select any one of these, but I'm just going to hold that control button and then bring down one fader. That's going to bring down all of the faders. Okay. And now the next thing I'm going to do is switch this into mono. Now this is the master bus. By switching the master bus into mono, it's going to allow me to address any kind of phase issues that might be presented with stereo instruments, with mono instruments that are maybe combating EQ wise. So this is just going to be a big help right off the bat to address issues that might happen whenever this mix would be folded down to mono. And if you've listened to this podcast for very long, you know that nearly everything that you listen to, every mix that you listen to, unless you have headphones on, is going to be heard in mono or in some form of mono. It might still be stereo, but it's going to be a form of mono. Like, say, for instance, if you're in the car, that's a stereo source. You have left and right speakers. However, you're only sitting on one side of the car. So technically, you're still kind of hearing things in mono. That's just one quick example of that. But now that I've done that, I'm going to go through each one of these tracks, and I'm going to, this actually isn't in the 15-step mix process. But this is definitely one thing that we want to check on. What exactly needs to be in stereo? Because I get this a lot where, especially with individuals like Mark here, he's really synth heavy. He records a lot with synths and VSTI instruments, and they always will sort of pre-route themselves into stereo tracks. So I want to figure out what needs to be mono in this mix versus what needs to be stereo. So the kick can definitely be mono. There doesn't need to be any kind of stereo information on the kick. Also, a good indication of this is if you look at the waveforms when you zoom in, if, like, say this top portion here is your left channel, this bottom portion is your right channel. Now, if these both look like identical, like these do right here, and if I was to zoom in, yeah, you can see that these are completely identical. So it's going to, the stereo information that's presented here is not really going to benefit the mix at all because it's not true stereo. It's basically just a mono signal twice. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the waveform here. And I've been getting that error for some reason here lately. And I'm going to go right here to convert to mono. Okay. Now that's simply going to mix that audio down and convert it into a mono track. All right. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that this interleave stereo button right here is actually folded down to mono as well. So, okay. So now that the kick is in mono, it's essentially going to have more punch. Bongonzo is asking, do you ever make kicks stereo? I have seen in certain instances where it was actually beneficial. Like, say, for instance, the kick was up the middle, so to speak, but the sides contained information like such as reverb. Then there might be an argument for leaving that in stereo. However, for the most part, all kicks are going to be in mono, just like a vocal. A vocal is always going to be in mono unless it's recorded with two microphones, and then it's a stereo source. So that's, Tim says that's step 2.5. Okay, so the second kick. So we have another kick track, and I'm going to assume right off the bat that, yeah, this is identical as well. So I'm going to go ahead and convert that to mono. Now this was something, Bongonzo, whenever we mixed your beat together, when we did that collaboration that we did with the beat that you made here on the stream, which, by the way, if you guys have not checked that video out, Bongonzo is a beat making beast, and he literally just hammered out a banger beat in like less than 40 minutes live here on the channel the last time I interviewed him. Go and check that out. And then I followed up by mixing the beat that he gave me. It's called the Zave Nice Beat. It was named after Zave Ryan. And it was very cool, very cool. But one of the questions that was kept coming back, because I didn't have time to cover everything that I did to that mix because it was very in-depth, was that people were asking, well, how did you know which tracks to fold down from stereo into mono? So a good indication of that, like we just said, is you look at the waveform itself. If it's a stereo waveform, I'm positive that the snare is going to be the same way. So I'll just show you with the snare. So if you look at the snare, you'll see that the waveforms are identical. Now with this one here, it looks like the snare was actually panned a little bit. The waveforms are identical. However, this top waveform is just a little bit larger than this bottom, which means that one of the channels is a little bit louder. That lets me know that it was usually either panned to one side or the other. So whenever I take that and make it mono, then it's going to allow me to pan it and get the same effect with more punch and clarity. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Oh, and I want to make sure too that this last kick, I fold that back down to mono here too. Okay, I'm going to do that here right off the bat and convert this to mono as well. Now, typically snares will be up the middle too, but some people do like to pan those just a little bit, like off center. I know I personally do. And then I will usually take like reverb or delay and kind of compensate for the pan that I just did to sort of give it a little bit of stereo width and some excitement. But another thing that I do that for is because I like to actually visualize looking at a drum set whenever I'm mixing a drum set. It just helps me to kind of hear in my ears how I feel like that drum set should sound like. So if everything is right up the middle, it's not going to sell that drum set as much as it would be as if I was sort of make-believing that I was standing in front of the drum set and I was seeing all those different kit pieces. So if that makes any sense. Okay, so the hats. This is going to be another one. As you can see, the hats, they look a little bit different. And in fact, there's areas like this right here where it's actually louder on this side than it is on this side, but the waveforms look completely different. You'll notice that and I can make this a little bit bigger here. You'll notice that the peaks and the valleys here are not identical. They're not the same. So that lets me know that this is actually true stereo information. So I'm going to go ahead and leave those hi-hats in stereo because that's real stereo information. So Mark is telling us that the reason why that is because he echoed the hi-hats. So if he's done something like that, that lets me know as a mix engineer, okay, here's the direction that they're wanting to go. I'm not going to change that then by converting it to mono. I'm going to leave it. It's not going to do anything to affect the stereo image if I just leave it the way that it is. However, if I was to fold that down to mono, that might actually create, because it's been echoed, it might actually create phase issues instead of help to solve them. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that one stereo. We have a crash track. Okay, crash track looks as if it's about the same. Maybe it's just panned. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. Yeah, this looks the same. It looks like it was just panned a little bit differently. So I'm going to go ahead and convert that down to mono. Okay. This is the boring stuff that you don't get to see. This is the not so cool stuff about mixing. But it's definitely needful because it's going to, all these little things like this will add up to big wins. So this one here has different waveforms on both sides. It's called blip, and I'm definitely going to go ahead and leave that stereo then. 80s drum fill. Okay, this one looks identical. I'm going to go ahead and listen to this though, because if it's, oh wow. So if I interleave that mono, it doesn't change at all. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that back down to mono there. Bongonzo says he likes auto pan. That is definitely a very cool trick to use for gaining stereo width for sure. So as you can see, the audio did not change whatsoever. One thing of caution, though, is whenever you fold things down to mono, it will make them louder by 3 dBs. So you want to take that into account. You can just simply turn it back down in the mix. Everything's fine. Oliver Masse. Hi, all chat. Good evening from France. Good evening to you, and I believe it's your first time here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a first-timer. Let's give him a round of applause. Good to see you, Oliver. If it's not your first time, I'm just going to blame that on getting old. Old and forgetful. Okay, so now we have a track called Contact Rhythm. Okay. This one's kind of tricky, but it does actually look like it's stereo information. I'm going to go ahead and solo it out. Give it a quick listen just to make sure. Oh, second time. Right on. That would be my fault. Old guy syndrome. Well, it's good for good having you again, nonetheless. So we have a second timer, ladies and gentlemen. So this one is showing stereo information, but here's another indication to let you know whether or not something is stereo. When I played this track, look at the fader right here. So if you notice on the fader here, it's the left and right portion of the fader. It's in 2 different spots here. You can see right here. There's a left side and there's a right side. Those 2 different slots are staying at the exact same level, which lets me know that that is a mono signal. So Jimmy is asking, he says, excuse my ignorance, those drums, they are not MIDI. Am I correct? I want to learn this stuff, but I haven't had any time to sit down and learn the ins and outs of this. So if I'm almost positive that Mark George does not record live drums. So I would almost guarantee, and Mark, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you're still in the chat, but I would almost guarantee that those are MIDI drums or at least samples. Ah, I see what you're saying. Good call, Bon Gonzo. That's probably what he's saying, yes. So I would say that 90% of this, because Mark George works a lot with MIDI, because he does work a lot with MIDI, whenever he sends the tracks to me in a bun file, he freezes the tracks first. Whenever he freezes the tracks, it then converts the MIDI into audio. So on my end, then I get the audio. And the reason why this is good is because if I don't have the Contact plugin that he's using, or if I don't have the whatever the MIDI plugin might be that he's using, if he gets a good sound that he likes, essentially he can bake that in and send it to me, and then I just have the audio to work with, and I don't have to have his MIDI plugin. So good question, though. And kudos to Bon Gonzo for kind of seeing beyond the fog there, because I was not particularly sure exactly what he was talking about. So with this Contact Rhythm, because that was showing me that there was no separation between the right and the left of the fields, it was letting me know that that is in fact a mono signal. Now, there's another way that you can also tell if something is stereo or mono. I'm going to go ahead and use this is a free. Where's it at? Oh, this is a free plugin, and it's from Hoffa, the Hoffa website. There's tons of free plugins over there. You need to go check them out. But this one is called a Goniometer, and basically it shows you stereo width. So I'm going to go ahead and check it out. Okay, so what this is telling me is that it does actually have stereo information. When I fold that down to mono, you hear a little bit of a honkiness in the 700 to 1000 kilohertz range. When it's back out to stereo, it's not quite as dominant. Likewise, you can see the white outline that this plugin has left. That's the remnants of the stereo information that was presented there. Now, if this was in fact a mono signal, it would only show up as such. I'll show you. So for instance, on this kick that I just worked on here a minute ago, if I was to insert it on this kick, now this is a mono source, so this Goniometer is going to look completely different. As you can see, it's just going right up one side. And even if this is interleaved stereo, it's still going right up the center. Okay. So yet again, a nice little visual aid. If you're not completely sure if something has stereo information in it, you can always pull up a Goniometer. You don't have to use this one. There's tons of free ones out there. It's just a quick visual tool to help you see if something is stereo or not. And it also helps on the master bus to let you see how wide your mix is. Liam Turner, good to see you here. Jimmy, if you have not yet decided on which DAW to use, like many in the chat here, would definitely recommend Cakewalk. Not simply because I use it, but because it's free and it's the most robust free DAW on the market. It does have a little bit of a learning curve, but that's because it's so in-depth. However, my channel here, I have an entire playlist of 36 videos that will help to get you up and running with everything that you need to know. Gonzo has an excellent channel that he can show you all kinds of things as well. X.E.L.O, who may or may not still be in the chat. He's got a channel. He does all kinds of great stuff. Actually just released a really cool video about key maps. So there's tons of people here in the community that will be more than willing to help get you up to speed. So, all right. So now we're going to be, X is still in. Good deal. Now we're going to be checking out this track here. Yeah, this definitely has some stereo information. Ooh, that's pretty wide too. Okay. Definitely has some stereo information. Going to leave the lead alone then. I think I got the rest here. Got that one, got that one. Chorus lead. Okay, bass. This is one that will more than likely need to be folded down to mono. I don't know, because this is a synth bass. It's got some stuff going on. This isn't like a bass guitar, which would normally be straight up the middle. Yep, that's what I thought. This has got some side information to it. Okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead and leave that bass alone. Here's one called phased bass. Yeah, I can already hear that's got stereo information. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just assume that the rest of this is stereo information because I see pianos and synths, and I'm almost positive, I remember correctly, the ghost voice here does have like panning stuff going on. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So I'm going to open up the console view again here. And make sure that I got all these faders bottomed out again. Okay. Which, by the way, in Cakewalk, let's say that it was something that was a mono source, but it was showing up a stereo track, and I left it interleave stereo, even though it was mono. Basically, if it's a stereo track and it has interleave stereo, any painting that you do, it's just a balancing of the left and right sides. If it's mono, any painting that you do, it's actually moving it from left to right. So in stereo, if you panned it 50% left, you would have 50% more sound coming out of the left side, but you would still have a retention of that in the right. Whereas if it was a mono track, it would literally just move everything 50% over. There would be nothing in the other side, if that makes any sense. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go on to the next process of this, which was to basically do a rough mix of this. That's step 7. MSB Guitar Works. I believe it is MSB Guitar Works' first time. Congratulations. Good to have you here. He says, what can you tell about often crushing of Cakewalk and the track's gain staged? Oh, that's a different question. Prim J. Hans, another first timer. Good to have you here. MSB, you're going to have to elaborate on that. I'm not sure necessarily what you mean by that. And for Prim J. Hands, he says, are the tracks gain staged? As of right now, that's what we're actually going to be doing. So we're literally going to be bringing up the faders for a rough mix and gain staging them to the master bus. So, and remember that the master bus at this point is folded down to mono as well. All right, so, which actually makes sense as to why. We got a second timer that's got applause again. So, oh well. So because I had that master bus folded down to mono, this is what happens when you do stuff live. That's why some of those that were in stereo looked as if they had the mono information wasn't split here because it was folded down into mono. Hello. There it goes. Now you see the right and left sides of this are moving. So I need to keep a mental note of that. And, hey, Corey, Crit Singer, first timer, or maybe a second timer. I don't know. MSB Guitar Works says, I blacklisted some plugins, but suddenly when I use plugins for the first time, it crushes my project. That's weird. Jimmy, I thought you'd been here before. If this is your first time, buddy, by golly, we're going to give you the harp. Okay, so he says he usually uses 32-bit. Oh, I missed Corey's here. Corey Kritsinger, I often get what I can only describe as a gurgling sound when recording load vocals. Any idea what would be using the Slate ML1? A gurgling sound. I have no idea. Now, if it's... Okay, so... that sounds as if it's probably sample rate and bit rate not jiving from the DAW to your recording software. As Liam just stated, yes. That was my thoughts as well, Liam. Sounds like sample rate issues. Now, as far as MSB Guitar Works had said about his project crashing, 32-bit plugins require a plugin to run the plugins for most cases. But I experienced crashing very, very infrequently. Like it hardly ever happens. Now watch, I'll say that and it'll crash during this live stream. Yeah, if you're having issues with certain plugins, for one, I would make sure that the plugins are up to date. For two, make sure that you know exactly which plugin it is, and there may be some kind of a patch or something that that company has. But for the most part, I still use 32-bit plugins too, and I have no problem. So, make sure all of your drivers are up to date. Make sure that your computer itself is up to date. All your audio drivers are up to date. Definitely. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and by the way, thanks for asking the questions. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking questions while we're going about this. So, all right, so I'm folding it back down to mono now. The video on your Patreon landing page is broken. Thanks for the heads up, man. I need to fix that. Need to make a note of that actually right now. Tone Mangler's back. What is up, Tone Mangler? Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Video on broken. All right, thanks, man. I'll definitely look into that here in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start moving these faders. Now, what I'm going to do when I'm moving these faders is I usually like to start with the drums first, especially like kick and bass elements, and then I move my way up and build everything around that. And I think it just kind of helps you to get your low end kind of nailed right off the bat, and then you just build things around that instead of trying to worry about doing crazy like sidechain compression and ducking and all this other crazy stuff. You just kind of get it right off the bat and then work on it as you go. So I'm going to go ahead and loop a section, or actually the entire song here. Okay, so the song is looped. And then, oops. I think I just closed that. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and start bringing up these faders one by one. Starting with a kick. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that second kick, even though it doesn't happen till later, about the same spot. Okay. Okay. I accidentally done clip looping on that. That's why it sounded weird. Okay. Now remember, we're in mono, so it's all going to kind of fold on top of each other. I'm doing that for a reason. Gonna kind of put everything at like -12 right now, just to kind of get sort of feel for stuff. Okay. Yeah, it definitely has that 80s feel, doesn't it? Okay. Some more stuff coming in now. Nice. Okay. So cool. Very cool. Nice. Okay, so I can already tell this is just a quick, rough mix. If it wasn't live, I might even spend just a little bit more time to go through the entire song to make sure that I've got everything covered. But I think we're at a pretty good spot right now. I can go ahead and move on. To answer the question, Oliver, I always do mix tracks in mono first. And the reason being is what we're going to see here in just a second. When things are folded down on top of each other, it forces you to EQ differently, and you hear things differently than whenever they're in stereo. when they're folded down on top of each other. Now, this is just personal preference. I'm not saying this is a golden rule that everyone should follow. It's clearly subjective, but when they're folded down on top of each other, it forces you to think subjectively and think, or rather objectively, and think, okay, what is fighting against what here? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to address some bass issues. So I'm going to go ahead and play this again. Okay. And I'm going to find the fundamental frequency on this kick. It's about right there. Okay. So I'm going to give that a slight boost. I'm going to cut out a little 400 here, and then I'm going to give it a low pass filter. Okay. So because I took out some with, hey Chris, what's up? Nice. First timer. Ladies and gentlemen, got a first timer. Good luck on the mix, man. I'm sure you can do it. Okay, so because I dipped out about 5 dBs out of the 400 range, I'm going to actually have to turn up the volume a little bit to compensate for that. So that's what I was doing here. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on that snare. As you can see, there's a lot of low-end information that's not even there, so I can go ahead and just roll this up. Okay, put a low pass on the top here. Okay, that should add a little bit of girth to it. Gonna work on these hi-hats next. Ron Jones, no, I have not done anything 10K and up as of yet. Okay, go ahead and bring this out. Yeah, see, there's all kinds of low-end information, not even needed here. I'm going to take some of that tickiness out. Make them sound a little bit more authentic. There we go. Okay, move on to the blip. Now, a lot of people would say, Mylon, hey, I believe he's a first timer. Good to see you. I wonder there is not possible to open EQ directly in the console view by clicking on EQ pick without opening the Pro channel. No, there's not. You can try and you can actually make adjustments with these little things here, but without being able to actually see it up close. It's just easier to, I mean, you can actually make them even without bringing it all the way out here. But this is just a great visual aid. I'm going to bring out a little bit more of the low end on this. And some of the high end. Kind of make it sound a little more blippy. Yes, as of right now, I'm only using stock plugins. Chris Roberts, first timer. Good to see you. Okay. So this is another. Okay. Love that whoosh noise he's getting there. I feel like this here needs to be definitely accentuated some more here. Okay. Cut some of the attack off of that. And then add it back here. Trying to make it a little more blippy. So what you can see here is I'm able to turn things up louder in the mix now and to get them actually to be heard because I'm EQing them to actually set in their own spaces. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move this to this section here. Okay. Ooh, that's pretty sounding. I bet that's going to sound beautiful in stereo, by the way. Okay. Okay, so the rest of this, I'm still going to require a little bit of EQ here and there, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and wing it from this point because I've got it pretty close to where I think I'd like it to be anyway. So I'll kind of address other issues as I go. Now this, yet again, I would normally take a little bit more time on that, but this is live, and I think I can take the liberty to work a little bit quicker. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my website real quick, and I'm going to type in 120 for the beats per minute. Hit the enter button to calculate that. That lets me know that at 120 beats per minute, a quarter note will have a duration of 500 milliseconds. Okay, so if you ever want a reverb and delay calculator, head on over to the website. It's right there. And this is going to allow me then to set up my reverb buses. And, oh, look at that. He's already got them set up. Reverb short, medium, and long. Or maybe I did that earlier. I can't remember. So I'm going to go ahead and just staying with the program here. We're going to go ahead and just use stock plugins. So I'm going to use the Sonitus Reverb. And I'm going to go with so default. Let's see. Short and sweet. We'll just go with that. And that's telling me that the decay time is 1.5 seconds. That's definitely not the decay time that I want. I want 200.250. Okay. I'm going to copy this over here. Open up the other instance of this. And now we're going to go to, we need something sort of medium. So we'll go with drum room. And the decay time on that one was actually pretty close. All right, we're going to go with that. And for the long, we're going to double that to we'll go large haul, and we will double this at 1.0. Okay, now I have reverb sends set up that I can send these tracks to. And I'm going to go ahead and do the glorious thing of folding this back out to stereo, which is one of my favorite parts. I like to do it while it's playing. And here we go. Oh yeah, I'm already hearing some more separation. Sounding good there. Okay. Okay, I'm also going to go ahead and create a drums bus, I believe. And when I say drums, it'll be for pretty much anything percussive. And I'll just copy this over here. So I'm going to go ahead and set all of this to the drums bus. Let's see, is there anything else? I think that'll do it. This will allow me to control all of those at once, and then I can also create a second bus for drums PC or parallel compression. Going to insert a instance of the Sonitus compressor. I'm going to stick with stock plugins here. Okay. I'm going to insert a send from the drums bus to the parallel compression track. Turn this down. Oh, thank you, Tone Mangler, for reminding me of that. Yes. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, when you're using the Sonitus reverb, you want to go ahead and turn this dry fader all the way down. You can blend it back into taste, but that way you're only getting the reverb sound. You're not, from that bus, you're not getting an extra added signal on top of that. Good call, Tone Mangler. All right, so now I have a send from the drums bus to the drums PC, which is my parallel compression. So I'm going to go ahead and solo these out so I can set this parallel compression up. Okay, so this is what the parallel compression sounds like by itself. There we go. As you can see, it's only catching that. I'm gonna turn that limiter off. Okay, so this will allow me then to blend this back into taste with the drums themselves. Adds just a little bit of oomph to them. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to start creating some sends on these. That whoosh sound gets me every time. Just to add some more width and breadth to it. Hey, Beveluski. Nice to see you. Chris Corral, nice to see you. Let's give him a round of applause for being a first timer. Awesome. Definitely starting to come together now. All right. Now, if you've been around here for very long, you'll know exactly why I am sending all these reverbs where I'm sending them. This allows me to push things back or pull things forward in the mix. Bubbaluski's first time on the stream. Give him a round of applause. Now, normally I would not put reverb on a bass. But because this is a synth bass, it might actually be kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and try it. I kind of like what that's doing to it, actually. Yeah, I kind of like that, actually. Okay. Got this coming in. All right. Nice. That reverb's starting to make this really come alive. So in order to just kind of open this up and make it a little bit wider sounding to help it sort of motivate that section, I'm panning the reverbs to the right and I'm leaving it in the center. As you can see, it kind of gives like a bounce effect in the right stereo field here. Definitely want some long reverb on this dungeon. That whoosh gets me every time. Micah, what is up, buddy? Chris, I am adjusting them sort of as I go. A lot of them I'm setting sort of close to the same. That way they're all kind of feel like they're in the same space, so to speak, but separated through EQ. Oh yeah, man, this is opening up. Hey, Jurgen. Good to see you too, buddy. Thank you, Corey. Greatly appreciate that, buddy. Man, this is really starting to open up now. If you look too, our headroom is still excellent. We still have -4 dBs of headroom. Excellent, excellent. That's what happens whenever you bottom out all them faders first and then slowly bring up things. And you start with that kick element and just kind of build off of it. You're really going to have a massive amount of headroom, which is what you need for the mastering process. So something that I want to do here, I want to check out these buses, which, by the way, Corey, if you, thank you so much for that super chat, man. If you want to email me at homestudiosimplified@gmail.com, I'll send you a little freebie for donating to the super chat today. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight just the buses. I want to make sure that these, nice. Mark George is all over it. He's got console emulation on every channel and on every bus. Love that. Okay, so one thing that I'm going to do here on the master bus is I'm going to go ahead and insert an instance of a compressor. I'm going to use the multiband compressor here. Okay, so good question. Jimmy, I'm going to butcher that last. Jimmy E, that's what I'm going to say. Jimmy E asks, what is it about headroom that I keep hearing about? So on your master fader here, you noticed that I had, everything was staying underneath this portion here. It wasn't clipping in the red. Clipping is bad, especially in a digital domain. You clip something, it sounds garbled. It sounds like distorted. You can't get that back. So if you have good amounts of headroom, when you enter into the mastering process of it, you can actually add things into the master bus to master that will increase the volume without clipping. And because that headroom is there, you can do things that you couldn't do if the clipping was present, or if it was too close to clipping. You can, say, for instance, use mid-side EQ or mid-side compression and boost and cut things a little bit easier. So that headroom is going to help you on the mastering process when it comes to mastering a track. And by headroom, I mean the audio is not reaching up above a certain threshold. So if you look at this, this is the headroom that I'm talking about right here. See, everything's staying relatively low there. And even in the louder sections, it doesn't get up past -4 dBs. See, it starts to barely touch into the orange there. Now, if it was way up here, we still have massive amounts of headrooms. Eliason. Jimmy Eliason. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this multiband compression to just control some of the dynamics of the mix, not in such a way to where it sounds like it's controlled, but just to kind of let it just squeeze a little bit, kind of glue things together. I'm going to take the limiter off of here. So this is what I'm hearing right here. So all that's doing is just simply doing a little bit of gain reduction there and then adding it back with the gain add here. And that's in that lower region, so. Okay, so I don't want to overkill this. So this is with, without. You'll notice it just kind of makes it a little bit more see how it just adds life back into it. Take it out. Sounds good, but it's kind of dull, a little lifeless. But now you bring it in, all of a sudden it starts to come alive. And I'm not doing a ton to this. I'm just barely touching those things. Nice. Now that it did increase our overall perceived volume, so that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and put a little boost on the shelf, a little high shelf boost here. Add some sheen to it on the master bus. Nice, nice. It's coming into it. Okay. You can see we're starting to clip there with that one. So I'm going to go back and turn just that kick down. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and insert another stereo bus, and this one is going to be for saturation. One of my favorite tools for shaping a mix is saturation. I'll show you why here in just a moment. With saturation, you're able to essentially create a perceived loudness without actually making things louder. So with that being said, you can kind of trick people's ears into hearing as if something was louder, more perceivable without actually affecting it volume-wise. It'll make sense here in just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and immediately dip out around 300 hertz because that's kind of a muddy region. And then I'm going to go ahead and insert my instance here of, oh, it's already on there. I'm going to take off that. Make sure that's on. Also, I need to make sure that I've turned it on these, and I did not. I'll just be perfectly honest, I rarely ever use the reverbs that are found here, or the compressors that are the bus compressors. Okay, so I'm going to remove that. And I want the tube, the drive, to be all the way up, the input to be up by about 10 dBs, and the output to be down by about 10. This should give me a good little drive here. Yes, good deal, Chris. You are correct. All right. So now I have a saturation bus. I'm going to call it Satty. So this will allow me to, if there's elements of the mix that I'm just not quite hearing at particular times, and I'd like to hear them more without increasing volume, just by enhancing fundamental harmonics that are already there through the auspices of saturation, I can then do that. One area I love to use this on is the bass. So we'll see how that fares. So that's with, without. See how much beefier that sounds? Now, one thing that I've noticed, when you introduce, you turn on or turn off something like this, it has a tendency to introduce latency between the two. So you have to kind of like turn it off and back on to hear the actual product, byproduct, I should say. Okay, so I've dialed it back by about 6 dBs for the send level. That's making that kick poke out a little more there. I like that. Gonna throw it on the bass here. Okay. Generally speaking, I don't know if it's like a magic number for me anyway, but negative 6 dBs for the saturation bus whenever I create one seems like it's just always spot on, just right where it needs to be. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw this randomly on a lot of stuff because saturation is where it's at. And then I can add to or take away as I go, but oh yeah. Yep, see, it's already starting to fatten things up in a pleasing way. Hey, if you're here and you have not liked the video yet, give it a thumbs up. Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little painting on that. Nice. See what I mean? So as I go through here, I'm just kind of painting some of these reverb sends and some of these saturation sends just to add more width. Nice. Yes, it is on a bus track. My saturation is. It is happening now. We still got -1 dBs of headroom, even with the saturation adds. Bring that down a little bit more here. Nice. So the saturation I'm using is literally just the tube stock plugin. This is what it's doing to the sound right now. There's 2 different modes. I prefer this second one myself, but all right, man, we have come a long way. Now there are still things that can be done to this mix. Say for instance with automation, and whether it be volume automation, panning automation, doing some crazy stuff with the panning. We could add delays on this and really take some of those elements to a whole new level. We could be here all day, honestly. But really, it's come a long way from where it was, and we can check that by bypassing all the audio effects right now. We'll give a quick listen before and after we've made our changes. So this is before. I'm sorry, I've got it soloed here. All right, so this was before. Not bad, not bad. After. And after. No, not the soft tube saturation. That one's been acting up on me lately. It was just, it's a stock, it's called tube saturation. I'll show you what I mean. So if you go up here, insert module. So that's the saturation knob you were talking about. This one is actually just called tube saturation. So what you notice is initially what we started with, things were not quite as balanced. It sounded louder, but it wasn't quite as balanced as it is now. So this was the initial. I'll try to volume match it here. Maybe that might help. Okay, not bad. Okay, but these are the changes that we made. Just sounds wider, fuller, richer, deeper. Sounds awesome. Sounding really good. Not a stock plugin. Curious to see what this will do. I love this plugin. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and delete that Gulf Os off there. I just kind of wanted to see and hear what, if anything, it's seen or heard that could be changed. And it looked like it was actually pretty spot on. So that's pretty cool. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, and the last thing that I'm going to do, is I'm actually going to throw on, not that. Gonna throw on the T-Rax 5.1. Love this plugin. I'm going to use this to essentially master the track as we've mixed it. So this is where we are now. Yes, that's on the master bus. That section right there has just come alive. Beautiful. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope that you learned something during this whole process. It was kind of in-depth, I realize and understand that, and there was a lot of just me doing things. However, I'm hoping, at least, that you did, in fact, learn something from this. If you did, let me know in the comment section what you learned. What kind of key takeaway did you learn from this, if anything? And what was your favorite technique or trick that I used that you're going to be applying to your own mixes? Let me know that in the chat section now, and we will go ahead and transition to the next portion before we go ahead and end this stream. Wow, just coming alive. Okay, so as Chris Knowles has brought up, if you're new here, then I want to introduce you to something that we do here every single time around, at least if I don't forget, and that is, ladies and gentlemen, the Wheel of Awesomeness. That's right. What is the Wheel of Awesomeness, you're probably asking? Well, the Wheel of Awesomeness is this. We spin the wheel, whatever the wheel lands on, that dictates what we do from the wheel. We have different prizes that are lined up on the wheel. We have giveaways that are on the wheel. We have tutorial requests that you can make on the wheel. We've got merchandise that you could win on the wheel. So stick around. We're getting ready to spin the wheel now, and we'll see exactly where it lands. Just got to pull up the wheel spinner doodad here. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to turn this over to Casey Kasem, who's going to announce what the wheel is. Casey?
This is Casey Kasem, getting ready to spin the wheel. Here we go. Wherever the wheel lands, that's what we'll do. Tutorial video request. Submit your tutorial video request for Robert. Robert will then make a tutorial based off of your video request. Casey Kasem signing out.
My Casey Kasem voice is waning. It's not quite what it used to be. Awesome. If you have a tutorial video that you would like to see me make here on the channel, go ahead and drop that in the chat now, and it will be guaranteed to be made. If it's already been made, I'll just simply post a link to that to let you know where you can find it at. All right. Before we go, let's also give some shout outs to some awesome individuals. These are individuals who have either subscribed or donated through the Super Chat feature. Thank you so much, Corey, for the $5 donation. Appreciate that, buddy. That's definitely going to be helpful in keeping the lights on. Daryl, Nelly Beats, Kaiwan, Son Win. I don't even know why I try to say these names. Okay. Martin, I can say that one. Matt, that guy, Dave, Mark, Grupo. Thank you all so much. You guys are awesome. You're more than awesome. The step recorder, Mark George says, I would like to learn more about it. If you hold Control and R, you get the step recorder. Nice. Yes, Micah, I'm feeling much better. Thanks for asking. Appreciate everybody's concern about my health, wealth, and well-being. You guys are awesome. So, Mark, I will definitely be getting this song to you shortly after this stream. and I will send you the WAV file. Thank you so much for allowing me to showcase the song here on the channel and to help others by allowing me to mix it live here on the stream as well. You guys give a big congratulations to Mark for not only for winning the song contest this time around, or last time around, I should say, but also for allowing us to all learn from this song as well. So I know some people, they get a little precious with their songs and they don't want to, which I totally understand, you know, copyright infringements and all that, and wanting to hold on to your song and not make sure that no one else steals it. I totally understand that. But Mark has been very generous in the past, as well as even now, in letting us take his songs and mix them live so that you get to see the whole process from start to finish. It's kind of cool. Now, normally, like I said, this is kind of a quick process. And one of the reasons why I choose Mark's songs is because when things are recorded with VSTI instruments or MIDI instruments, one of the things that is great about these is they're usually relatively simple to mix, because they're usually, the samples are recorded in professional studios by professional engineers. And so whenever you get those samples or you're using those VSTI instruments, they just seamlessly drop into things, and they're a lot easier to EQ. You don't have as much of the problems that you would have as you would with live recordings. With that being said, one of the tutorial video requests that are being mentioned is mixing live recorded songs. So that's definitely a cool one. Definitely be looking into that, Jurgen. Plug-in rubbish, as in the bull they market with. That's a good idea. I know White Sea Studios, he has a section on his channel that he calls Is It Snake Oil? I love that portion of it. Although I have to say, honestly, some of it here lately is, I think he's being, I think he's being not quite as subjective as he used to be. I think now that he's getting more plugins given to him, he's kind of changing his tune. I could be wrong, but it just seemed like the last few plugins, like he had nothing bad to say about them. Normally he was always kind of subjective and he would be like, eh. But now it just seems like, well, anyway. Yeah, that's a good idea though. Micah says he uses all free software. Nothing wrong with that, man. Automation to drive those explosions. Yeah, definitely, Chris. Good deal. Good deal. So, Mark, this is the second time or third time I've seen something about the step recorder, and I'm not too familiar with how to use it, but I will definitely try to put something together. I know I've said that in the past. It's just when I don't ever use it, it's hard for me to really create a tutorial on something I'm not really acclimated with. So what I might be able to do though is at least scratch the surface of it. I might not be able to do a deep dive, but I can at least scratch the surface of it. So I'll definitely keep that. Actually, I'll write a note right now. So the video on the Patreon page is broken, and I need to do a tutorial on live recordings. On mixing live recordings and on the step recorder. You know, I think Bon Gonzo, either him or X.O has got a good video on that. I can't remember which one. But when you're beat making, it's definitely a must. I believe one of the two of them, or maybe even both of them, have a video on that. But X did it. Nice. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much for stopping by the channel today. Love each and every one of you. Thank you all so much for your attentiveness and for letting me know in the chat that you did, in fact, learn something. Be sure to share this channel with other individuals. Be sure to also give this thumbs up if you have not already. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Make sure you hit the bell icon so that every time I upload a video or I go live, you'll be the first to know. And make sure that you also select all notifications. That way, anytime that I post anything, you'll be the first to know. So thank you all so much for joining. Once again, for all of those who didn't get a crowd share, there you go. And for all of those that I said it was your first time and it wasn't, that's on me. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, love each and every one of you. Until next time, you all keep it real, stay creative, stay safe, and I was going somewhere else with that. Stay creative, stay safe, make music. Oh, that's what I was getting ready to say. I knew I was forgetting something. The November song contest has ended. However, there will be a December song contest very soon. I'll have a link posted where you can get to that. Make sure you check out the Facebook page so that you'll be able to see that link whenever it's posted. And I will post a link to the Facebook page here so that if you're not able to find it, you'll be able to get to that quickly. Whenever I post that, if you want to get involved in the song contest, it's super simple. You just simply upload your MP3 or WAV file. And the only stipulations is you can only submit one file per, excuse me, one file per submission. Got something in my throat here. It's not the Rona. One file per submission, no vulgarity, no lewd language. It can be instrumental, it can be whatever it is, as long as it's not going to throw a copy or some kind of a strike on my channel. I want this channel to be a place where anybody of any age can come and learn something. So apart from that, you'll see the link here on the page. I'm giving you the link to the page right about now. Boom. And be sure to go over there. And also, if you want to get involved in the HSS Collab group, that is a private group that's there on the Facebook page. If you'd like to be involved with that, let me know. Send me a message through the page and say, hey, I'd like to be involved in that. Or I can simply, actually, I can do that right now by going to the groups. Wherever the groups are. I don't like the new Facebook way it's laid out anymore. It's just stupid. Okay, here it is. I thought there was a way to invite with a link. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so if you want to get in on the HSS Collab group, I'll also be posting things in there that I don't post on the page. That's also a place where you can go if you want to collaborate with other individuals who are members of this channel. Speaking of membership, I have yet to announce this yet, but YouTube is allowing me now, for whatever reason, to open up a membership here on YouTube. I know if you've seen some of the bigger channels, you've seen that they actually have a membership tab at the bottom of their screen where you can actually sort of support them monthly through that. Now, if that sounds like something you might be interested in, let me know and I'll go ahead and open that up. I haven't done it yet because I already have a Patreon page and PayPal links that you guys can support. I've got a merchandise that you guys can buy. So I don't want to, overflow everybody with ways to support. However, maybe it's another option to where maybe you don't want to go through the other venues. You can use this. So if you think that's a good idea, I'll go ahead and open up the membership portion of my channel and we'll see where it goes. If nothing else, it might be another way to help support this. So once again, love each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Mark, for allowing me to use your song. You're all awesome. And until next time, you all stay blessed.